Oh hey, didn't see you there. You probably have trust issues. I get it. Anyone that's been subscribed to my channel, specifically the ones that ask me questions about the MOBA thing, and any of the games that I was developing, you're probably side-eyeing me right now. And that's fine. I had gotten a job like 4.5 years ago. It was in game QA. This was after like going to college, getting into debt, trying to get into the games industry, realizing that I didn't have the skills to do that quite yet, dedicating myself to learning about game development, and it's a whole thing. Anyway, so I finally get into the industry via QA. I feel like I had seen behind the curtain. It was very interesting. I willingly left. I realized that I had this channel. I wanted to do something with it. The whole point of the channel initially was that I wanted to teach people about game design, right? Game development, but like not like a tutorial. I tried tutorials. It didn't feel right. I wanted to give you guys something of substance, something that you can use. It's gonna basically amount to like a template. They're gonna be game templates that maybe perhaps games you guys wanna make. Let's talk about the first template. This is gonna be a MOBA, League of Legends, Dota kind of thing. Now, truth be told, I don't play those games. I know, a game developer that doesn't play their game, or doesn't play any game, shocker. But I've been busy, alright? I've been learning, getting skills, all of that good stuff. And I still love video games. There's a ton of them I have to play on my PlayStation. That said, let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, I was trying to make an asset for the Unreal Engine marketplace. It didn't quite work out for me. Turns out I'm not much of an artist. Turns out that Epic has standards, and I just art-wise, presentation-wise, I wasn't really hitting the standard. I got rejected based on the idea that the art side of the asset wasn't really hitting the mark. So scripting wise, I did all right. You know, it was an auto turret. It was based on MOBAs, but you could really throw it in any game. You could replace the mesh section with something that you liked. It was my best effort at the time. That gets rejected, but you know, it still worked, and I still thought it was cool just running around and having it work and all that. Well, I figured, why not just give it away for free? That way I'm doing something with it. You guys can get your hands on it, just kind of the way that I had intended that the distribution would work either way. So that's what this template is going to be based around, is the MOBA tower that I had designed, that I had made, still functional. I designed it in a way where all the functionality was within the tower. That's kind of our starting point. And so you click on the tower, I'll show you, it has a little section where you can select what you want it to target. Throughout this series, I'm probably going to change it. The GitHub repository is going to have the most current version of this template, and it will have the turret. So get it while I still have it. I'm going to see, maybe I can make another version of it. I don't know how GitHub works. This is all a learning experience, but we're going to learn together. I also made a build for the game. You can play it. It doesn't do anything, but you can play around in it. It has a start menu, a lot of the basic stuff. It's on there. Matter of fact, I probably should put a version number. Anyway, we're gonna keep moving forward. I'm gonna go over what I did. This starts with me doing the thing that I fail at, which is display my art skill. Any good map that you're gonna need, and that's where we're starting, is with the map, is gonna probably need like a quick concept, top down or whatever. We're gonna do our best to draw one of those. So I'm using a program called Marmoset Hexels. And if you're thinking Marmoset like in the tool bag, yes, the same company. They make a product called Hexels, and I very much enjoy using it. I use it typically for pixel art. The Hexels themselves are like a diagonal kind of visual effect drawing type of thing you can use to your heart's content and make whatever you want. I just typically use it to draw pixel art or images like this. Like most modern drawing applications, it has the ability to use textures that can be colored. Now you have to use it in the hexel layer, but then you can convert them into pixel layers, which is like the drawing layer. So that's kind of what I did. So I imported 2 textures that it had, colored them the color of land and grass, and essentially just to put an amount of detail on them. The reason I do this, because that's how I started, was designing levels. Personal thing at this point. I need a certain amount of detail going in just to get my mind flowing, just to get the creative juices running and the cogs and all of that. That's what we're gonna do. We're going to just draw it. Now, the way that this kind of works out for me is I do a fill and then I just end up erasing what I don't need and then copying and pasting these chunks of materials that have already been applied and then kind of erasing from there. Eventually we get a shape. I basically drew like 4 separate islands, which is really 2 that I just copied and pasted to the other side. Very asymmetrical. It kind of gives us what we need, or at least what I need. In the middle of these maps, there tends to be like an area for jungling, and then there's going to be more powerful enemies. You can download the template from GitHub and change it to your heart's content. I know you guys probably play these more than I do. I do like the game type. I do like the concept of MOBAs. I'm just not good at them, but you know, we can try to make one. Okay, map drawn. We're gonna get into the actual editor. We got it all pretty. The most beautiful map you've probably ever seen. We're gonna get into modeling. The thing that I also failed at, we're gonna get into it anyway. Typically, for making levels, I would prototype with BSP, or like the box brush tool in Unreal. It's like this crazy like prototyping tool that they have had for years, and I believe the first iteration of BSP or CSG, however you know it as, was used in the original Doom or Wolfenstein game. I believe John Carmack made it for basic level design and layouts. It's a pretty old style tool. They used to make video games with this thing, no meshes. We've moved on from that. Unreal has its own modeling tools built in. Back in the day, I used to get everything in BSP, export the shape. Now, we can model straight up meshes in editor, right? We don't have to do all that workflow. Granted, I was used to it. I was going to use this BSP editor, but for whatever reason, the engine kept crashing. Don't know why. Honestly, I wasn't gonna sit there and mess with it. This project already had enough problems. I'll tell you about the packaging build problem later. I fixed it. It was a nightmare. I made the best effort I could, copied the map that I drew onto using this modeling. Granted, the modeling tools in here are pretty complete. Anything you might need to prototype modeling is in this new plugin, right? The new editor plugin. You can move faces, you can move vertices, you can move edges, and you can throw in edge loops. You can edit on the fly, delete things, whatever. That's what I did. I got the same result, but now I don't have to export these into an art program, which is what I was really planning to do. I don't have to do that anymore. Instead, I can just export these shapes later and we can make a whole thing. There is that. We're gonna start with this. I went ahead and edited my way to victory here. Worked out fairly well being a non-artist. It turned into what I needed it to be. That's all that mattered. Now that the map is done, we're gonna talk about the 1,000-pound elephant in the room, the weapon. You can use whatever weapon you want. You can find a lot. The marketplace has a ton. I believe Quixel Bridge plugin library has a ton you can download. You can just upload and download there. I wanted to try my hand at modeling a weapon. I started with a basic box, right? I inserted some edge loops, started making it sword shaped, Everything was looking great. It was a general, like, if Nerf had made this sword, it's Nerf or nothing. And this was pretty close to nothing. I made the weapon. Wouldn't you know it, Unreal also gives you the ability to edit the UVs that you've just modeled. So I went into the UV editor. If you've ever done this before, it's really tedious. I can't handle UV editing, okay? I know a lot of people can't either, and it's only because I'm really bad at it. That's really the only reason. I don't want to really let that be the reason for forever. I'm sitting there and I'm painstakingly pulling out all the surfaces, unwrapping everything, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really care about this thing that I'm making right now. Not enough to do the full UV editing process. We're gonna just gloss over that part. If you're good at that, I want you to make the best sword you possibly can. It's not in me just yet to do this. We have the sword, voila, it's beautiful. Now we need to put it in the hand of the mannequin. In order to do that, we need to put a bone socket in the right hand. Bone socket determines what position the weapon gets held. So we're gonna go into the skeletal mesh editor, find the right hand bone, right click, and we're going to insert a socket. Bam, now it has a socket. So now what we can do is we can right click on the socket and we can do a preview mesh. We're gonna select our sword that we just made and it will show how it looks. And from here you can adjust the socket so that the sword looks right in the hands of your character. That's what I did. Now we have a sword equipable inside of the mannequin. So for right now, we're going to the sword in the character's hands. It's going to be there, right, as part of the character. Later, I would like to make it its own thing. For right now, I just want this thing to work. It's gonna have its own collider, so we're gonna turn collision for the sword off, leave like a box collider, because we needed to at least hit something. That's what I feel like I need to do. This brings me to the concept of damage. You can make it so that when you collide with something, that moment, deal damage, right? I didn't do that. I made an entire damage actor. Let's say the actor shot something, then the projectile would be its own actor. Well, my concept of damage is gonna be that, but it's not gonna go anywhere. It's just gonna spawn, and then whatever's in its path, it's going to hit. That's how I want to do it for right now. Maybe you have a better way. Download the get the project, implement your own damage. The project's gonna be messy, I apologize. It's there for all of you to enjoy. In this damage actor, I'm going to use a sphere. I'm gonna squish it so that it looks like a disc, almost like a sideways UFO. And then I'm gonna put its own collider around that. It's gonna be, again, a box collider because I love boxes. Now we have it so that theoretically, once the character swings, it's going to spawn this damage onto our tower. The problem is that in practice, the process happens so fast that you don't even get to see the pretty glowy mesh that we made, right? And I'm using the same glow material for the shot of the MOBA turret. I'm gonna put a bit of a delay. It'll still hit the moment that it spawns, but there will be like a 0.5 second delay before it dies, just so that you get to see that it works, that it's popping before it goes away. That works, right? That's that. We need to actually spawn this actor. We're gonna do it through a function inside the player. It has the spawn function. In order to do that, I'm gonna use something called a notify, an animation notify. What this does is in the timeline, you can choose to mark it with something. Can call a function, can call another animation, can call a sound. It's very convenient for footsteps. I'm going to call that function. every time that animation gets to play and it gets to the point where it's like in the swing, it's gonna call that function. Now we just need to get the player to swing at the tower. You need to click the tower in order to know, right? For it to swing. Right now, when you click on a place, it'll look there. If hold down the click, the player will run to that point. If you hold down the left click, you just click it once, it's not going to do anything. But if you hold it down, the player will run. I think that's a carryover from the actual template that I used from Unreal Engine 4, which is crazy. There's a couple of things that need to happen. The turret needs to know that you clicked it. Because of that, I'm gonna start from there. We're going to go in the turret. We're gonna use the function unclicked. When you go to unclicked, it's gonna call the player and it's gonna run all these checks. Within the turret, it has to know that it was clicked. First off, we're gonna check to see how far the player is from the turret. What it does is it grabs the distance, and I think it's like 400. Kind of mess around with it, turn it into a yes or no boolean or something. We'll figure it out. It gets the check to see if you're even close enough to hit. If it fails, does nothing. But if it does, if you are close enough, it's gonna go into the player. It's gonna grab that attack function that tells it to play that montage animation. It's gonna grab that montage and play it. The animation is the notify. Once the notify gets to that part in the timeline, gonna fire the damage. It sounds like a lot, and it kind of is. Voila, there it is. Our pawn now attacks. Does it take any health? No, but theoretically it applies damage. It just doesn't really throw that damage into anything. Those numbers go into the ether. The tower doesn't have a life bar yet. We'll do that in the next video. Neither does the player, so the player can't die. Everyone's just immortal. Through hard work and determination, we have the MOBA tower, we have the player, you can move around and click, and you can theoretically attack. That is basically what I have so far. That's the first part of getting this to work. Functionality wise, it's there. What I did after this was I packaged it and made a build. That took like a day and a half because there was an error that came down to a single setting that I will post on the website. I have updated that setting. It was missing a file. The build went through. I made a quick menu. The UI editor, for all my UX UI designers out there, allows you to use widgets, put them together, a functional menu of some sort. I did a quick one. I made sure to show the cursor. You'll be able to see the cursor throughout this whole thing. All it does is it loads the level, and you can run around and play around in it, and then escape takes you back to the main menu, and there you can exit the title. The UX UI editor, I can do a whole video on that if you guys want me to. I'll put a write-up on the website just going over how exactly mine works, and we'll go from there. It's available on GitHub. Download it. You can make your own edits to it. You can see how I did any of this madness. Full write-up is on the website. My game download is on my itch. That link also available on the website. There you go. It's ready for you guys to feast your eyes and play it, do all sorts of nonsense. And we're gonna come back. We're going to update it. I will give you guys updates on the website. Keep an eye out, lk.com, and that's where you'll find the blog and everything. I'm also going to do video for Game Maker, is also an engine I've taken a big interest in. I plan on doing blogs and videos on all engines and editors. Hopefully I do projects that will make sense for you. That's it. We've got our first project online. We're gonna do some great things here at LK. Go forth, do what you will with what I have made. I will see you guys later.